So the National Basketball Association MVP race, as you all know, has been completely blown wide open because Joel Embiid is not going to have a chance to win it. I think the real question, at least on my mind and a lot of other people's minds, is why is everybody just handing it over to Jayson Tatum? Have they not seen the stats lines of Luka, Doncic, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
You're listening to the House of Takes NBA show with Dave Daba, the only NBA show in North America that believes the Rudy Gobert trade worked out for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Presented by Stealth.ltd.
Welcome back to the House of Takes NBA show. On today's show, we are going to talk about the National Basketball Association MVP race. You know, I mentioned it in the opening. I don't understand why everybody is simply handing that particular trophy over to one Jayson Tatum. Look, I know the Boston Celtics are securely in first place in the Eastern Conference. Yes, the most valuable player award tends to go to the person that actually has his team usually at the top of their particular conference. I do want to point out that last season, Joel Embiid won the award with the Philadelphia 76ers finishing third in the Eastern Conference. Now, if you take a look at Shai's stat lines, and we're pulling it up here for you, 31 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 6.6 assists a game. Now, if you compare that to what Jayson Tatum has, which is 27, 8, and almost 5, just from a stats perspective, as well as considering the fact that OKC is on the verge of moving into first place in the Western Conference with a team that is significantly younger. I don't know. Last time I checked, J-Dub wasn't quite at the Jaylen Brown level yet, is he? Last time I checked, Chet Holmgren is not quite at the Kristaps Porzingis level quite yet, is he? Plus, the Boston Celtics certainly have a better bench than the OKC Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has done an absolutely tremendous job putting the OKC Thunder on his shoulders. I just looking at those two players, I don't understand how anybody could actually pick Jayson Tatum over what Shai Gilgeous has done so far this season. You know what it all comes down to? It comes down to that point in a NBA season where they, whoever they are, decide that particular player, that particular player's time has come to win a specific award. So with Joel Embiid going out, next up on that list was Jayson Tatum. It is Jayson Tatum's turn to win an Most Valuable Player award, even despite the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has significantly better stats and has his team also on the verge of being in first place in the Western Conference. The argument for Jayson Tatum versus Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, in my opinion, cannot be won for Jayson Tatum at this point. But then you have to also consider what Luka Doncic is actually doing. Now, remember, I said Joel Embiid ended up winning the Most Valuable Player award last year, and the Philadelphia 76ers finished in third. Now, the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic, and if you take a look at what Luka Doncic is doing, at least to this point, from a points perspective, and we're pulling it up for you right now, very, very similar, if not better, than what Joel Embiid put up. Okay, over 34 points a game, almost 9 rebounds a game, and almost 10 assists a game. He's moving into that triple-double category for a specific season. Clearly, if you just look at the eye test between Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous, and Jayson Tatum, Tatum would end up in third so far this year in the Most Valuable Player award, which is why I quite frankly don't understand why they have decided that Jayson is going to win the Most Valuable Player award this particular year. Just from a pure stats line perspective, it is clear as water is wet that Luka Doncic should actually win that award. Now, to keep things in perspective, the Dallas Mavericks are 33-23 and are currently on a 7-game winning streak. They've won 8 out of 10 games and are in the 6th spot, as I mentioned. I think in order for Luka Doncic to actually win the Most Valuable Player award, he's going to have to move up a couple spots. At the very least, the Dallas Mavericks will probably have to end up in the 4th spot, which is currently held by the Nuggets, which means the Minnesota Timberwolves, OKC Thunder, Clippers, and or Nuggets are going to have to completely and utterly fall apart for Dallas to move into the top 4 of the Western Conference. All right. I personally think that if I were to say who's the most valuable player so far this year, I'd give it to Shai just because he does have the Oklahoma City Thunder right there atop of the Western Conference, currently tied with my Minnesota Timberwolves. I want to hear from you, North America. Go ahead and tell me what you think. Also, thanks so much for tuning into our brand new podcast, the House of Takes NBA show. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet to our big YouTube channel, please go ahead and do so. And of course, like this video. As always, for the House of Takes NBA show, I'm Dave DeBoff, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
You've been listening to the House of Takes NBA show with Dave Daba, presented by Stealth.ltd.